Julian Fleming, this continuing saga of whether he's going to be the player that we all expected him to be and where he stands in regards to injuries and so forth. Kevin, what's your take on his progress at this point?
I mean, he's kind of in the same boat as Jackson Smith and Jigba in terms of we expect him to play, but we kind of heard that last week. He's somebody who certainly had much more of an injury record than JSN or somebody like that. So you got to be really careful because whatever's ailing him, if something goes wrong again, you could lose him longer term at that point. And there's not a Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, backlog. I mean, Ohio State is still very deep at wide receiver, but those guys were first round picks in the NFL draft. So I think that there's a chance we could see Julian this week. I think there's a chance that we might not see him till Wisconsin. They're not super forthcoming when it comes to injuries, but with that being said, Ryan Day wasn't as dodgy when it came to talking about those two guys this week. So I think it's important that if they're guys that you're going to be counting on to go against Wisconsin, that maybe you let them get a little bit of run this week if they're healthy. I mean, if they're 100%, or if you're saying that the threshold is 90%, because truly after playing some football, Julian hasn't, but you're the healthiest you generally are is at the start of the season, and then the hits start to add up, and then the threshold gets, let me get on camera, lower and lower and lower and lower. So we'll see.
Any take on Julian Fleming, Steve?
Yeah, I'm very hopeful that at some point we'll get to see what he's capable of doing. It just seems like it just keeps getting pushed off into the future. It didn't happen his freshman year. Well, maybe as a sophomore. Well, no, not healthy. Start the season, Notre Dame, come right out, not available. He tried to warm up last week. It looked like Pat Murphy from our staff said he was out there on the field with the guys for the early warm-ups, but was unable to go and was not in uniform for the game. So, again, just pushed it off into the future even more. And one of these days, maybe he'll get that chance, but it's obvious now he's no higher than number 4 on the pecking order. I mean, you're not going to take a Bucher or Harrison or Smith the Jigba off the field to get him in there. So, it's kind of like they asked about CJ Hicks the other day at linebacker, and Jim Knowles just flat out said it's hard to get this guy reps right now. He's got a lot of promise, but we play 2 linebackers, and Tommy Eichenberg is set at 1, and Steele Chambers and Cody Simon are splitting time at the other one, and that's it. You're not going to see anybody else at linebacker for Ohio State this year. My guess is if something happened to Tommy Eichenberg, you would have Steele Chambers at 1 linebacker and Cody Simon at the other. I mean, that's it. I mean, so it's a blessing and a curse to have this much talent. And I had people in my chat on Monday like, well, we're going to be transfer portal this and we're going to be transfer portal that. And I'm like, look, the absolute most important thing is to get your 11 starters on offense and your 11 starters on defense ready to go for the Big Ten. That's what matters the most. Getting Sonny Styles 20 plays against Arkansas State so he doesn't transfer, and I just use his name as an example, not to say he's looking around or anything, but he's a top recruit, is not what this is about. It's not what it's ever been about. And if you don't have those guys ready to go next week when they play Wisconsin or Iowa, whoever, Penn State, Michigan State down the line, you could lose a game, not win the Big Ten, not go to the playoff, and you've lost another season where you could have had a very special year. So to put it in the proper context, if you win the Big Ten and go to the playoff and play for the national championship and, dare I say, win it, then 20 guys can go in the portal and it wouldn't matter because you could still go out on recruiting in the transfer portal yourself and get whoever you want. So don't worry about, we're going to lose a guy like Quinn Ewers in the transfer portal. Don't care. Do not care. That means nothing to me. And Ohio State in this last 3 years has lost, other than Quinn Ewers, maybe the receiver that went to Alabama who was struggling to get in the 3 deep or in the top 3 wide receivers at Ohio State had been supplanted by Jackson Smith the Jigba. Williams, maybe those are the only 2 guys that this football team really has missed. And I mean, Kevin, maybe you know better than me. You have another name of somebody who would have helped them. I mean, Day threw Dallas Gann a bone and said, we'd like to have him on our team now. Yeah, running down on punts and kickoffs like he did last year. That's it. That's all he'd be doing because he wouldn't be playing ahead of the guys they've got now.
Right. I mean, if you sit there and you play for the future, I mean, and you ignore the present, then, you know, I mean, what benefit are you getting out of that point? You have to play for now. And yes, I think that there are times that, you know, we could sit there and be like, well, you know, you should probably get the 2s and 3s out there. But, you know, we don't know how the 2s and 3s are necessarily responding in practice, and nothing is given and everything is earned. So it's, you know, it's really easy for us to sit there and say that, you know, this guy or that guy should be playing in what we deem as garbage time. And I mean, I've seen Ohio State up 2 scores and people saying, well, it's garbage time already. No, it's not. I mean, you have to focus on the now. You have to get these guys, you have to get your ones reps, especially, you know, when you're looking at certain positions and, you know, you're a receiver and you've only been targeted 7 times. I mean, have you really gone through and gotten your reps? If you're, you know, if you go and you look at a game and the defense, you know, the opposing offense only gets 51 total, you know, offensive plays, are your defensive players getting enough football at that point? It's all part of the equation. And, you know, I certainly can understand, you know, the concern over losing guys. And, you know, I think that the staff does a pretty good job of keeping guys where they can. But, you know, some guys do just up and leave. I mean, in this new portal era that we live in, but you can't be coaching scared. I mean, you've got to be coaching for the moment that you're in.